Welcome to Chasing Curiosity TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The South China Sea is on edge, tensions are running high, and the world's attention is fixed on a small but crucial patch of ocean. Here, the fate of nations and the future of regional stability hang in the balance. Scarborough Shoal, a ring of reefs just 124 nautical miles from the Philippines, is now the center of a dangerous standoff. This remote atoll, seemingly insignificant on a map, has become a flashpoint for international confrontation. Chinese Coast Guard vessels have formed a blockade, enforcing a new marine nature reserve. Their ships, imposing and unyielding, now dominate the waters, turning the shoal into a maritime fortress. For the Philippines, this is no act of conservation. It's a direct challenge to sovereignty and a move that could spark conflict. Filipino fishermen, who have relied on these waters for generations, now find themselves blocked and harassed. Scarborough Shoal is a vital fishing ground and a strategic flashpoint. Its rich marine life sustains local communities, while its location offers control over key shipping lanes and military advantage. If China builds here, it completes a triangle of outposts, tightening its grip on the northern South China Sea. This would allow Beijing to project power deeper into Southeast Asia and challenge the status quo. The standoff began with Beijing's announcement of the reserve, citing environmental protection. China claims it is acting to preserve marine biodiversity, but few in Manila are convinced. Manila saw it as a familiar tactic, using green rhetoric to mask expansion. The Philippines has seen this playbook before, where environmental claims are used to justify military and territorial gains. The Philippines has drawn a red line: no permanent Chinese structures. Officials have made it clear, any attempt to build on the shoal will be met with resistance, both diplomatically and, if necessary, militarily. Every satellite image and radio transmission is now under scrutiny. Intelligence analysts pore over data, searching for any sign of construction or escalation. Chinese water cannons and harassment have become routine, but this feels different, more permanent, more dangerous. The risk of miscalculation is growing, and the potential for a wider conflict looms. Manila has issued sharp protests and put its military on alert. The government is rallying international support, determined not to back down in the face of intimidation. The world is watching to see if this red line will hold. Allies and rivals alike are gauging the resolve of both nations, knowing that what happens here could set a precedent for the entire region. Scarborough Shoal is now a symbol of Philippine defiance and a test of China's resolve. For many Filipinos, it represents a fight for dignity, livelihood, and national identity. The stakes, national pride, economic security, and the balance of power in Southeast Asia have never been higher. As the standoff continues, the world waits, holding its breath to see what the next move will be. China's declaration of a Scarborough Shoal National Nature Reserve is framed as environmental stewardship. State media show vibrant reefs, blaming fishing for damage and promising rehabilitation. But for Manila and many observers, this is a thinly veiled pretext, a classic gray zone tactic. By declaring a reserve, China justifies excluding others, using its Coast Guard to enforce the new rules. This isn't new. China has used scientific outposts before, as a first step toward permanent control. The nature reserve gambit is the latest evolution, making it harder for critics to oppose without seeming anti-environment. While the US, Japan, and Australia voice concern, China dismisses them, buying time to solidify its grip. To understand Manila's fear, look back to Mischief Reef in the 1990s. China started with fishermen's shelters on stilts, harmless, they claimed. The Philippines protested, but with little power, could only watch. Over 2 decades, those shelters became a sprawling military base with runways and harbors. Beijing's promises of no militarization proved hollow. Mischief Reef, inside the Philippine EEZ, is now a PLA stronghold, projecting power across the South China Sea. This history haunts every move at Scarborough Shoal. The pattern is clear. Start with a non-military pretext, then build up, step by step. Manila knows the next steps: research stations, then land reclamation, then military hardware. Stopping this process early is now a matter of national survival. The lesson: what starts as protection can end as occupation. In 2013, the Philippines took China to court under UNCLOS, challenging its sweeping South China Sea claims. The 2016 Hague Tribunal ruling was a landmark victory. China's 9-dash line was declared illegal, and Scarborough Shoal was affirmed as within the Philippine EEZ, but the win was symbolic. China ignored the ruling and accelerated its activities. The Chinese Coast Guard stayed. Filipino fishermen were still blocked. The ruling gave Manila legal and moral ammunition, but not enforcement. President Marcos Jr. now champions the ruling, using it to rally international support. The dispute is no longer just about territory, it's about the rule of law at sea. The 2016 decision remains the cornerstone of Philippine foreign policy. Today's Scarborough Shoal standoff echoes Mischief Reef's past. The playbook is familiar: use a non-military pretext, fishermen's shelters then, a nature reserve now. China's salami-slicing strategy advances control in small, calculated steps. The initial seizure in 2012 led to years of Coast Guard patrols. Now, the nature reserve signals administrative control. Next could be a scientific outpost, then expansion. The strategic stakes are huge. Scarborough Shoal would complete a triangle of Chinese bases, giving Beijing dominance over the South China Sea. For the Philippines, it means near encirclement. Unlike the 1990s, Manila is now alert and proactive. The government is exposing China's moves, mobilizing diplomacy, and strengthening alliances. This time, the Philippines refuses to be a passive bystander. Scarborough Shoal is a test of whether history will repeat or be rewritten. The world is watching Manila's response. The Philippines has adopted a bold, multi-pronged strategy to address the growing tensions in the South China Sea. This approach is not only about defending territory but also about shaping the narrative and building a united front with the international community. First, transparency. The Philippine Coast Guard now documents every Chinese action in disputed waters, capturing images and video evidence of each encounter. These materials are quickly shared with the world, ensuring that every incident is seen and scrutinized by the global public. This openness shapes global opinion, counters Beijing's narrative, and puts international pressure on China to explain its actions. Second, diplomacy. Manila files formal protests for every incident, consistently citing the landmark 2016 arbitral ruling in its favor. The government raises the issue at every possible international forum, from the United Nations to regional summits, keeping the dispute in the global spotlight. The dispute is framed as a challenge to international law and the rules-based order, not just a simple bilateral spat between two countries. Third, alliances. The Philippines has expanded U.S. military access, increased joint patrols, and built stronger defense ties with Japan, Australia, and European partners. These alliances are more active than ever, with regular joint exercises and new defense agreements. This growing coalition sends a clear and united signal to China. The world is watching, and the Philippines is not alone in its stand. The risks are real. Beijing accuses Manila of provocation and escalation, but the Philippine government believes that inaction would mean surrendering its rights and sovereignty in the region. The strategy is confrontational, but it is widely seen as the only viable way to defend national interests and prevent further encroachment. Manila is determined not to repeat the mistakes of the past, especially the loss of Mischief Reef, which still serves as a painful lesson. The world is taking notice, and the Philippines' strategy is reshaping the conversation about the South China Sea. Beyond geopolitics, the human cost is real. Filipino fishermen have sailed these waters for generations. Scarborough Shoal is their livelihood and sanctuary. Since 2012, they've faced harassment, water cannons, and blocked access. Many are pushed into poverty, forced to risk more for less catch. Their stories are of fear, frustration, and resilience. Some give up, others persist, playing cat and mouse with Chinese patrols. These fishermen are now frontline defenders of Philippine sovereignty. Civilian supply missions to the shoal are acts of defiance and survival. For them, this isn't just about territory, it's about the right to fish and feed their families. The Scarborough Shoal standoff is a clash of worldviews. The Philippines and its allies champion international law and peaceful dispute resolution. The 2016 ruling embodies this principle. Law, not force, should govern the seas. China, by contrast, asserts historic rights and uses hard power to enforce its claims. Ignoring the ruling, Beijing signals that might makes right. The international community faces a dilemma. There's no global police to enforce the law against a major power. Sanctions are risky, military intervention even more so. The risk of escalation is ever present. A misstep could trigger a wider conflict, especially with the US-Philippines Defense Treaty in play. What counts as an armed attack is ambiguous, raising the stakes. The world watches, hoping for restraint, but fearing miscalculation. Scarborough Shoal is now a test of the rules-based order itself. Scarborough Shoal is more than just a collection of rocks in the sea. It stands as a powerful symbol, a place where geography and national identity collide. Its waters and reefs have become the focal point of a much larger struggle, one that resonates far beyond its isolated location. For the Philippines, Scarborough Shoal is the ultimate symbol of sovereignty and resilience, a final red line that cannot be crossed. It represents the hopes and dreams of a nation determined to protect its people, its resources, and its future. Losing control over the shoal would devastate national morale, cripple the local economy, and threaten the security of coastal communities. It would also embolden China's aggressive tactics, making the Philippines feel even more vulnerable in its own backyard. For Beijing, Scarborough Shoal is a strategic stepping stone toward regional dominance. It's a test of strength and a direct challenge to the US-led order in Asia, signaling China's ambitions to reshape the balance of power. The stakes here go far beyond just two nations. The credibility of international law, the freedom of navigation, and the stability of global trade routes are all on the line. What happens at Scarborough Shoal could set a precedent for conflicts elsewhere. If China can openly defy a landmark international tribunal ruling without facing consequences, the entire rules-based order that has kept peace for decades is at risk of unraveling. As Chinese ships maintain their unyielding vigil, Filipino vessels stand firm in the face of intimidation, backed by international law and a deep sense of national resolve. Each encounter is a test of willpower and principle. The world watches anxiously, hoping for peace, but aware that the outcome here will send ripples far beyond these contested waters. Diplomats, leaders, and ordinary citizens alike understand the gravity of the situation. The fate of Scarborough Shoal will help define the future of Asia's security landscape and the very nature of the global order. It is a crossroads moment for the region and the world. The world is watching. What happens next at Scarborough Shoal matters to us all, shaping the course of history for generations to come.